So, chapter 24, in itinere, on the journey. So, chapter 24, a huge chapter because we're finally seeing the subjunctive mood, right? So, Latin has an indicative mood, that's regular statements and questions, an imperative mood, there are civil commands we saw before, and the subjunctive mood, which has a lot of uses, right? But so far, you're only seeing one. So, we saw the imperfect and the pluperfect subjunctive in this chapter, how they're formed, and we saw one use for them. That's cum circumstantial clauses. So where cum isn't the preposition with, but it's actually a subordinated conjunction, meaning when or whenever. Okay, so I've underlined the verbs in red, the subjunctive verbs I've highlighted in green, and I only noticed one participle in this. I went ahead and highlighted that in yellow. And also there's a blue box about something I want to point out here at the end. So let's look at that first paragraph. Modestus et strutio ex opido aquisulis egressi dewam equitabant. In itinere ad flumen altum venerant ubi erat pons semerutus, cum ad pontem veniscent equus transire noluit. So Modestus and Strutio, okay, they're modified here by egressi, right? Nominative plural, egressi. So it's modifying my nominative plurals here, Modestus and Strutio. So Modestus and Strutio, egressi, having gone out, and we have the prefix and the preposition, one idea. Don't have to take it twice. So having gone out of the town, Aquasulis, right? All ablative because object of the subspace, right? Remember, this is not genitive, right? It's all ablative, right? In English, we'd say the town of Aquasulis, but not in Latin. Okay, so Modestus and Strutio, having gone out of the town of Aquasulis, were riding a horse, equitabant. I was going to say horses, but the story tells us there's only one. So they were horse riding a horse, turns out to be one horse, to Diva. Okay. On the journey, right? Itinerary, of course, is what declension? Third, right? Ablative, third declension. Right? Remember, iter is a neuter noun, right? Itinerary, the ablative form. So on the journey, when errant, they came, prepositional phrase, ad flumen altum, to a deep river, to a deep river. Flumen, it's a third declension, must be what gender? Right? If you said masculine because of you're close, but not right, right? For if it was masculine, the accusative would end in em, right? But it doesn't. It's flumen, doesn't have an ending. So this is actually a third declension neuter singular, right? Flumen, that's not an ending that we've seen, right? So it's flumen nominative, flumen accusative, right? So it's neuter. So to a deep river. Altum may think altitude, height, but it's verticality, so it can also be deep. So on the journey, they came to a deep river where there was a pons semeruta, so a half collapsed or rickety bridge. Okay, cum ad pontem veniscent. Right, here's our first subjunctive verb. All right, cum here. So there's no ablative object with it, you'll notice. That's one enormous clue. That's not the preposition with, right? So it's actually introducing a cum circumstantial clause, right? So when, we'll take it. When veniscent. Okay, veniscent, it is subjunctive, but what sense of the subjunctive is that? It's pluperfect, right? We talked about how the imperfect subjunctive uses a present infinitive, and the pluperfect subjunctive uses the perfect infinitive, which is venisse, right? Cambridge hasn't introduced yet, but we talked about it in the PowerPoint, right? So veniscent, the ISSE one, that's the pluperfect subjunctive. Pluperfect subjunctive. Okay, so when they had come, right? It's a pluperfect of this verb, right? Subjunctive, pluperfect subjunctive of this verb. So when they had come to the bridge, the horse did not want, right? Perfect of nolo, to transire, to ire, to go, trans across. Equus transire timet, the horse is afraid to go across, said Modestus. Strutio, to prior transi. So you first transi. So you look at that, you might say, oh, well, that's a perfect I form, right? I crossed? No. Transire, as we just saw, is a fourth conjugation. So its singular imperative is going to end in I, and that's what this is, a singular imperative. The plural would be transite, right? So it's a command to transire, to go across. So strithio, you, transi, go across first. Okay, so cum, introducing another subjunctive clause. So it's a cum circumstantial clause, right? As we've mentioned, there are other cum clauses, but we'll see those later. For now, just cum circumstantial is what they're giving you. So when strithio had crossed, right? Transiesets, right? ISSE form, remember, is the pluperfect subjunctive form, right? So remember, to get the pluperfect subjunctive form, you take the third principal part and add ISSE. Right? Well, normally dropping the personal I ending and adding ISSE. We talked about this, fortunately, in class. I'm not being very clear here, perhaps. So when strithio had crossed, the horse, etiam tum, even then Nalevat was not wanting to transire to go across. Modestus, therefore, descended ex equo, he got down from his horse, okay, cum descendisset, right? Descendo, descendere, descendi is the third principal part. So descendice would be the perfect infinitive. So descendisset here is a pluperfect subjunctive, right? So I started with that third principal part, descendi, right? And then I got rid of the I ending and added ISSE to get the perfect infinitive. And that is our stem for the pluperfect subjunctive. It's kind of complex there. You have the perfect infinitive and it becomes a pluperfect subjunctive. But nevertheless, that's how it works. Just like with the imperfect subjunctive, you have the present infinitive. It doesn't appear to be any imperfect subjunctives here, but you have the present infinitive, and that becomes the imperfect subjunctive. Right? So that's no less confusing, perhaps, but get this down, and they get easier. So when he had gotten down, the horse immediately transient went across. Right? Double I's. That's a perfect of went. With the perfect of to go. So went across. So cabale, nag. There's some insult to a horse, right? Of course, that's vocative, right? Ready from adire, right? That is another command, right? So return, sebedesis, right? Ire of transire, yeah, I may have said that was a fourth while ago. It's actually irregular, right? But it does have the I and ite imperatives, like a fourth. So ready, return, another singular imperative here, sebedesis. You deserted me. Right, to zero isti. Isti definitely makes it perfect. The U is also a stem clue. Right. Equus tamen, the horse, however, in altra ripa emota stetit. So the verb is stetit, right? From sto stare. Right. So there's actually a reduplicated consonant here, stetit. Right? It tells me it's perfect. So the horse, however, stetit stood, all right? Motus is also nominative, so he stood. This is describing the horse. How did he stand? Immotus, unmoved or motionless. And then just a prepositional phrase here, in altura ripa, on the other shore. So the horse, however, on the other shore, motionless stood. Modestus cautissime, right? We saw these last chapter. That's a superlative adverb. So very cautiously, coepits began transire to go across again. Okay, cum ad medium pontum venisset. So when, here it's introducing a subjunctive clause, so as a cum circumstantial clause. So when he had come ad medium pontum, to the middle of the bridge, right? Notice it's not of the bridge in Latin, just to the middle bridge, but in English we would say of the bridge, middle of the bridge. Decadent pons, the bridge fell. So the horse was not heavy enough to bring down the bridge, but Modestus apparently was. By the way, this is Modestus, right? Oh, how big his muscles are, how big his arms, right? This is the heartthrob of Wilbia, right? a great Roman soldier. I have a hard time believing a lot of legionaries were built quite like this, but it's a story. All right, so the bridge fell. Modestus fell. Okay, mediis ex undis clamavis. So he shouted. Okay, mediis ex undis. This is a pattern you're going to see many, 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 many times in Latin. You may not have seen it much previously, but now they're giving it to you, and you're going to see it a lot. Right. So what you've usually seen with prepositions is that you have the preposition and then the object to the right, right? And that's common. There's a few prepositions where the object usually comes to the left, right? We'll see that much later. But this pattern is extremely common, right? You see the preposition is actually put in the middle, right, of an adjective and a noun object, right? They like to put the preposition in the middle. So mediis ex undis is the same as ex mediis undis, right? Know this pattern because you're going to see it a lot. See the preposition? The objects can be on either side. Mediis goes with undis. So from the middle of the waves, from middle waves in Latin, right? So from the middle of the waves, he shouted, Caudices, blockheads, you, lava facistis, and verbose is you plural. Istis, of course, you plural perfect. Fac from facio, the long E is also a clue that it's perfect. So you made weak or weakened the bridge, right? If I don't remember, you might remind me to play the recording of this because it's pretty good. All right, so now you finally have seen Modestus. Really take a lot of effort to push him into a fountain. Got to get a running start. Right, so that's your introduction to the subjunctive. So until next time.